My Travel Ins podcast. I'm lucky to have JJ Harrison. How are you today, JJ?
I'm fantastic. It's hard to have a bad day when you're me. I don't know why. It just every day it's snow, it's icy, and school got closed today, and it's still a great day at my house
That's why people like being around you so much.
because I
Because,
can't.
because you never have bad days.
How do you have a bad day? You can choose to live in the sea of drama, or you can choose to call it a hot tub and enjoy life. So it's up to you.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. You're a barrelman / rodeo clown, part of the bullfighting team. I've known you for a few years now, so I appreciate the little extra time we get here.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. No, it's my job is entertainers. Probably the one thing you got to think of too. Anytime you've got a rodeo, you're dealing with live animals, and anytime you've got live animals or small children, and you try to count on them, they're going to make a fool out of you. And so you've got to have somebody that can fill the lulls, fill the time in rodeo, and keep that energy going, keep the crowd kind of involved in what's happening. And so, in addition to those other things you said about the barrelman and the bullfight tape, that's probably one of the biggest parts of my job is just connecting fans and connecting them with the rodeo contestants and the rodeo personnel.
That's like when a bull gets hung up or something's going on in the chute. You gotta fill that, and if they have to switch to somebody else going, you gotta fill that time.
It's a crazy job when you think about it like this, because you think of comedians and like stand-up comedians. They work on a stage, and a stand-up comedian will have timing, and that's such a critical comedy. And they'll have, sometimes the comedy won't be something they necessarily say. It'll just be a look. It's a look, or it's a thing, or it helps sell their comedy. But my job is to, instead of having all of the stand-up comedian time, it's more like, okay, hey, we need you. Do something. Funny right now. And the minute you start, you get going, all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're good to go. Shut up. We don't need you anymore. Be quiet. So you don't have the ability to set a joke, play the joke, and then sell the joke all the time. So what you've got to have a lot of little quick, snappy little things. Interacting with the crowd is by far one of the biggest things that I enjoy doing. And that way, when they buck a horse, when they're ready to go at the chutes, they just continue on with the rodeo. And what I'm doing doesn't get totally destroyed by it. It can change away from it. And that's probably the mark of a good rodeo entertainer, is somebody that can do lots of little things, but not have to have one big drawn out rodeo act,
Yeah. Well, because you're exactly right. I mean, like when you're a comedian, you go on stage and you get 15 minutes or 10 minutes or 7, you know exactly how much time you have, and you even get a warning light that say, hey, get ready to shut. For you, it's like, boom.
Yeah. You're
instantaneous.
Be funny, clown. Okay, shut up, clown. We don't need you anymore. So it is. It's one of those jobs that, and you either love it or you hate it. And I've met guys, and I've met especially like new rodeo entertainers or new rodeo clowns, and they will be like, dude, the announcer totally ran over my joke, and he sucks because he was, I had to go, and then he ran me over. And I'm always trying to tell these younger kids or even older clowns that whine about this. Listen, dude, it is the PRCA, the Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association, not clown. So if you take your job that serious that you're offended by that, you're in the wrong business. I always tell people, I'm like salt. A little bit of me, I make it better. Too much of me, you got to throw it out.
Ruin it.
So and that's what and I'll be honest with you, and getting to be in the Roper booth in Vegas. Yeah. I've learned that skill that I have in the arena actually helps me.
It translates perfectly.
Oh my gosh. Like you can't tell somebody, you can't sell a gal a pair of boots from top to bottom. You have to pick your moments and help her understand, help her with little ways to improve it, but they have to make that decision in themselves. And I've learned that. It's been really a fun. I've never got to sell anything in my life other than myself, my comedy.
I was gonna correct you on that, because you're an independent contractor. You have to sell yourself to every rodeo, to a rodeo association or whatever. Yeah. Whether you have a reel of what you've done and pictures and this and that, but you're still selling yourself.
You are, but never a product. I never got to sell Canada dried ginger ale to somebody. And so I think that was kind of that's a fun experience for me.
Well,
You know, this
anytime you want to fill in some space and get away from the kids.
man, the kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we were talking pre-show here about how many. I have 5 of them, you know, 5 kids, and I married into 3, but it's just my personality. I immediately just take them. They're mine.
Oh,
you know, I met them, you know, and it was really hard when I first met these kids because they were, I think, 12, 10, and 7 when I met them.
Wow. Tough ages.
Those are tough ages to have to go through a divorce. And, you know, here comes a new guy. And I always told him, you know, you don't have to call me anything. It doesn't matter. JJ's fine. You can call me dad if you want. They love to call me dad now. It's kind of nice. But at that time, it was just, I had to prep them because when we went to rodeos and people found out that they were my kids, boy, it was your dad,
These are great. Yeah.
And so I had to tell them, look, if I hope that doesn't bother you, but if it does, then I can help be in front of that. I can get people to understand the situation, but all 3 of them love it. And then, you know, over the time, 4 years, it's just been, they love rodeo, and it's a phenomenal thing. It's really fun. And then what's awesome too, is I had a son with a previous marriage named Huck, and he's now 13. And so it just fits perfectly. You know, they're really good friends. And then of course I'm 46 years old. Let's just
start
say
all over.
I got a hip replacement. I've got a titanium hip. And typically when people get hip replacements, the first thing you want to do is also have a new baby.
Yeah, they go hand in hand.
Makes no sense. But that is, Roxy is our little monster that we're raising. And my wife Bailey is Italian and Irish, and every stereotype you can think is in that little girl, man. My son was a piece of cake. Huck is like one of the calmest, sweetest, nicest, easy to get along. I mean, you can, when we travel, you know, sometimes we're traveling 17-hour drives.
Yeah, long day.
And I can drive, man. I don't know why, but I become just a road fixated driver. And I don't want to stop and stretch that into 3 days. I want to get there. So there's been times when I've driven 17-hour drives, and it took us 20 with stops, but just straight. And it was just, for a while, it was just me and Huck. And I'll never forget this. We pulled into Estes Park, Colorado. We've been driving 20 hours, and I jump out of the truck and then you shake the legs out a little bit. Huck is in the back seat. He's got his movie player going. And I said, Huck, we're here. Get out, buddy. Dad, can I finish this movie?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you've been in the car. And a lot of that just, I don't know. We're so lucky with technology that we have in terms of, because when you and I were kids, it wasn't like that, was it?
No.
It was, remember, count the license plates? Pick a state.
I remember the slug bug. I remember, I mean, dude, you came up with anything you could. Red car, my sister would punch me, you know. Then it was blue cars, my sister would punch it. And basically, I just got punched a lot when we'd go on family trips.
It sounds like a violent childhood, if you ask me.
Older sister, what are you gonna do?
What do you do? But, you know, and people will ask me that, they'll be like, well, you know, with traveling with 5 kids, it's gonna have chips, man. It is, you know, one of them's always got to pee, one of them's always got to do something. But I've done this job now long enough to know that you don't want to leave them at home. You just don't. Any opportunity I have to take Huck rodeoing with me, I did. And now any opportunity I have to take the whole crew, and Roxy's stuck, man, because she's goes everywhere with me, and Roxy's right there. You've met Roxy. She's a little, and so it's I don't want to miss a thing. And people that travel for a living, we miss so much anyway. We really do. And so balance life. You got to balance it with, you're not going to get the hometown interactions. Like a lot of people get that, man. They get to go to high school football games and out with their buddies, and they golf a lot and do things in their hometown. And there's a camaraderie. When you travel every weekend, I'm somewhere else, man. So it's not, I don't have that. I don't have that hometown feel. But what I do have amazing friends on the road, and I have amazing people and places I get to see and things I get to do. I'm going to go to Tucson, Arizona this year. It'll be the first time working that rodeo. I am so jacked to go to Tombstone.
Yeah.
I am.
Oh yeah.
I'm out. I'm like, it's the last 2 weekends of February. I'm gonna go to Rapid City. I go to Great Falls this coming weekend, and Hobbs, New Mexico, and these are exciting places. Who doesn't love Hobbs, New Mexico? But Tucson, Arizona, and Tombstone.
Tucson would be awesome.
I'm excited about it.
I'm going to Dallas next week for our market, and I might go to the stock show because the stock show opens, I think, the day before I get there. So
and that's
so. Let me ask you this: how many days a year are you on the road, roughly?
Golly, I would say I'm probably on the road over 200.
Yeah,
I think over 200 would probably be the safest bet. There's 52 weeks in a year. This year I'll have right at 40.
I was gonna say I counted about 40 on your calendar.
Yeah,
36, 38.
This is a busy year, and one of the things that calendar sometimes can be misleading, because you'll look at a rodeo like Rapid City and you think, okay, that's one rodeo, but that's actually 10 performances.
Yeah.
And so that's a 2-week long rodeo. And same back in the old days, I used to do Denver. I did Denver 4 years, I think. And
that'd be this week.
Yeah. Denver's just getting started. And I miss the paycheck. The Denver's a big paycheck. I miss the consistency of being in one place, but I also, I like being able to move around. I like being able to bounce around. So the advantage to not having a Denver anymore is that now I'm going to go to 3 different communities during that same time that I worked one. So, aside from some of the positive aspects, which there's lots, I get to branch out a little bit more. I can never go to the Montana Circuit Finals in Great Falls. If you've never been there, Great Falls in the winter is gorgeous. And I mean that, but cold.
I was going to say
freezing, but cold. But I think it's probably -8 right now, but it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous there. Like, and no mosquitoes.
They're frozen.
No bugs.
No bugs.
No bugs in Great Falls in January, my friend. No bugs.
I have a buddy that worked with us at NFR for a couple of years, and he's like, "You should get some cattle." I'm like, "Where?" He's like, "Up in Montana." I'm like, "Do I have to visit them?" Or he goes, "Well, yeah." And I'm like, "Then no."
Why do you want cows? People who have cows, and I grew up in this. You have to hate yourself a little bit. You really, because man, it is ranching. It's like you get a phone call like this morning. I got the call, "Hey, school's closed, roads are too dangerous, and it's too cold, and blah blah blah." But you never get that call that, "Hey, ranching's been canceled today."
Yeah.
Winds are blowing.
Hey, you got to take a day off because it's -30 out.
Yeah, it's -35 degrees with wind chill, and so we're gonna cancel ranching today. You never, ever. So,
in fact, that would probably be more of a reason why you'd have to be out there to fix whatever's breaking and freezing all the lines and
water. Yeah. Water in the wintertime for sure.
Yeah. So forget that noise. I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, I'll be a weekend cowboy.
I'll just come visit. But I'll bring my own rope.
Yes.
So when you're traveling, to give you the rodeo's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? Some of the smaller.
Typically, I mean, a lot of times what's changed in a lot of rodeos now is if they're not Saturday, Sunday, if they're a 3-performance rodeo, they'll grab that Thursday instead of the Sunday. So they'll go Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday. And what they found is that Thursday night, more people are likely to come out than they will on Sunday. So a lot of rodeos, they'll have 3-night performances, and they'll just start Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday for the 3-performance rodeos. Now, some OMAC, Washington, is Thursday through Sunday. Sheridan, Wyoming is Wednesday through Sunday or Saturday. So it just depends on the amount of performances, and then what days they best feel they're going to be able to attract a crowd.
Sure.
There's Saturday nights in rodeo. Everybody says that, we wish we had Saturday nights all the time, but when are those nights? And typically rodeos, when they're pretty savvy about it, they'll kind of make them kids nights, or they'll be a tough enough to work
night, or
Saturday is just, hey,
it is what it is.
But other nights they'll try and attract patrons by
a singer or somebody coming out.
Yeah.
With your background, being a teacher, master's degree, the whole 9 yards, which is just amazing. How many do you ever have to deal with the stereotypes of being a clown or?
Oh, I mean, yes. I mean, it is funny too, because there's a stereotype that just with cowboys that we're dumb. Yeah. And that's, and you know what? There's enough people out there that make that stereotype stand up. So you have to, especially when you're in large cities. Now let's take this, my life, my example. Sure. LA. I do rodeos in Los Angeles, California.
City of Industry. I'm going to come see you there.
City of Industry, San Bernardino. Yeah. How you behave in those areas, those communities, is critical to the perception people are going to have of you, because there's so many misconceptions about cowboys that aren't necessarily true. But you can never fault somebody for having that perception, because that's what our stereotype is, and that's what they see in movies. That's what the old dumb redneck is. It's a stereotype that's out there, and it gets used by Hollywood a lot. It gets used by, and then there's honest to God people out there that are like that. So I find that when people usually don't, you'd never think that we're very educated. And so the fact that I have a master's degree in education, I did that for teaching purposes. I went that far with my education, but I definitely feel like teaching taught me to do my job better with that, based on that experience. My experience teaching helped my job better, because a classroom is not much different than a rodeo arena, in that you're entertaining kids, and then you slip a little learning in when they're not ready for it, but they've got to, number one, they've got to buy into you. They got to believe you. They got to trust you. They got to like you to a certain extent, because otherwise they're going to simply shut their brain off to you, and you're not going to educate them in any possible way. And so I know there's teachers that disagreed with me, but a big portion of how I taught school was fun. I wanted my classroom to be fun. I wanted kids to come into my room and want to be there. I wanted them to come in at lunch, and we'd watch ESPN, and I cooked popcorn every day. And I probably had 35 kids that came into my room every day at lunch. And part of it's because I like people, and it was fun. It was fun. So the selfish aspect of it, it was fun. But I'll tell you,
but it worked.
Some of the best conversations I had with kids, and some of the most impact I had on kids' lives, didn't happen in the classroom. They happened during that lunch. I found out, because kids started eating popcorn, watching ESPN, they start talking about home life. And I was able to intervene on a kid that was getting hit a little bit too much by his dad. I got a girl that got pregnant, and as a freshman, and I was able to help her rather than hide these things from me. They felt comfortable enough to reach out to me. And, I think the point of what I'm trying to make there is that the approachability of a person is critical in your job, because I feel like kids trusted me. They wanted to share with me, and I was very approachable. Yeah. It's not much different with my job now. If they don't feel like they can talk to me, ask questions, connect with me, then I'm going to do my customer, my fans, a disservice, So I want them to know that they can come up and ask the dumb question, because rodeo, not everybody knows rodeo that goes to one, right? No. I mean, it's a unique sport. It's a unique, it's based off of a Western way of life. And there's a lot of people that are like, I flat don't know what the hell's going on here. Why this guy wrote there, and then this guy, he jumps off and tackles the steer. And so it's kind of cool to have the guy that comes up with his kids after the rodeo and lets the kid ask questions. But dang well it's the dad that's really asking him, ask him this, ask him that. And I always like that, being approachable. I think that, and then when you can cognitively change somebody's perception, something from positive, it's huge. And they don't necessarily, you know, and that's where I think we started talking about the education that I have. I think that's where it comes in. It's most helpful to me in those situations, and that I can articulate myself well.
Yeah.
And some people have that as a natural ability. I think I'm fairly natural with it, but there's no question Washington State University helped me become a better speaker, you know, and then 9 years or 8 years of teaching helped me become a better educator and a better person and a better, I don't know what the word, maybe I've kind of lost the word I'm trying to say, but somebody that can articulate my point in an effective manner.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I had Hunter Cure on my show on the podcast, and he graduated, you know, in ag, you know, from college. I have several, Dougie Hall, who's a training bronc horses, graduated college, you know, went to school in Rodeo College on a scholarship. So they're dumb people in every industry, and there's really smart people in every industry. You know, I always like the number one compliment I get from when I work NFR is, "Where are you from?" And I tell them Los Angeles area, and they're like, "You don't act like you're from California." I'm like, I don't know what that means, but okay.
But it's perceptions. You know, and dude, if you were down there working the booth carrying a surfboard around, people would guess you were from LA, right?
Yeah. Well, I think, but you know, like you were saying, that TV and movies have portrayed, you know, cowboys as being this way. Yeah. And it's the same way with, you know, Californians, or you're from New York, or you're from, you know. And I always tell people, I go, we have 40 million people in California. So all the stereotypes you think of, they're all true, and we have them all. We have a lot of good people. We have a lot of bad people, a lot of smart people, a lot of dumb people. We have a lot of everything. You know? So,
but we take it on. I think we take it on as there are people, you know, I remember Charles Barkley. I'm not a role model, but yet I don't want that. I want to be one.
Sure.
You know, in my industry, in my little sport, I do want to be a role model, and I want kids to connect to rodeo. And maybe that starts with me, but you know, there's a kid that I met at Walla Walla Community College years and years ago. He was probably an 8-year-old when he met me. He loved the clown, wanted to be JJ, dressed like me for Halloween, whatever. Now this kid's, he's 20 years old, and he's starting to bulldog. So it may have started with me, and ends. We develop another 100 here, you know. I mean, so it's, and if he'd had a bad experience with me, it might have had zero interest in cowboys or rodeo or anything. And there's one thing for, we are a dying breed. So we have to continue to promote our Western way of life and cowboys to keep us going down the road. Because
I'm not a super big fan of Yellowstone, but I'm a super big fan of the idea of Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like for me, I didn't like the show. I got in about 6 episodes. I was like, I'm done. But I think it shows a more real version of being a cowboy. You know, you're not they're not all in Texas. You know?
Yeah.
So,
you know,
but it's a good example of putting a positive thing out there for it.
I think, and I know Taylor Sheridan, and he's a funny dude. He's definitely it's a stereotype cowboy. You know, they want a whip that's going to be able to beat up anybody, and you know, the idea of the big rancher. But I'm going to tell you, if you own a big ranch, you can't murder people and get away with it. Just right now, you can't go and dump them in some secret spot in between Montana and Wyoming and call it the train station and do that. So don't start murdering people because you don't like them. But the show is, for one thing, it's a soap opera, but it's a soap opera based around cowboys, and there are some things that are good. And you know, I like my favorite character on that I relate the most to is Casey, the son, little son, because I grew up in Omak, Washington, and I can tell you that Omak, Washington is right on the Colville Indian Reservation, and there are some interactions that happen like that, and it's neat that his wife is Native American, and he's raising the kid, and he's across both cultures, and he's got this old ranching dad that's, the old white guy meeting the Indian culture, and he's trying to balance them both. And that's probably my favorite aspect of the whole show.
Yeah.
And that's, Taylor's a good writer, and he's trying to, keep something going. I bet you that show goes 7 seasons. They're only on 4 now. I bet they run another 3 because it's so popular, and it does give people a chance to kind of relate to cowboys. And that's what they want it. People want this.
Well, that's kind of what was the oh my gosh, John Travolta,
Urban
Cowboy. That was what, late 70s, early 80s.
Oh yeah, yeah, great.
But that did a lot to the industry.
It did, and you think about the ridiculousness of that movie. He's identical bull riding, and then the pearly button shirts, right? Those became famous because a sissy liked to tear open the shirt, and people bought into that though. They did.
Absolutely.
They liked what that show gave them, and John Travolta did a good job acting. I just thought it was a game changer, and I was a little kid watching it.
Me too.
I would be a mechanical bull rider, which what?
But what did you end up doing?
I rode bulls for a little while.
Exactly. So how you said, like you might plant a seed in a kid at one of your events.
Yeah.
Just like that movie planted some kind of seed that was okay to ride bulls. I mean, I would never. I like that movie. I wouldn't ride a bull. I got Tony Mendez trying to get me on bulls. I'm like, no, I'm good, bud. I'm like, no, I'm good.
My days of ever getting on a bull are done. I think I'll stand in front of them all day long, but I don't want to get on them anymore.
He's like, no, I'll give you a calm bull. I'm like, no, I'm in my 50s. I'm good. I don't need that.
A calm bull. Okay, that makes. Yeah,
it's called a horse.
Yeah.
What do you not like about the travel?
I aside from like the financial piece, I'll hit on that first. When I rodeoed when it was just me going, it was a heck of a lot cheaper than packing.
Heck yeah, buddy.
6 other human beings with me. So now it's an expensive deal, and so the cost of traveling with a family is definitely something that I'm trying to because this is a business. This is how I make my living. So I'm always trying to pinch pennies where I can, save them here, and spend what I need to, because you never know when that water pump's going to go out of a truck, or
it's going to
stuff's going to break down driving and on the road like that. But so the financial aspect of it, that's one of the things that frustrates me. Guys that sit at home, that can leave their rigs in garages, and if they don't want to spend money, they can stay in the house. When you live on the road, you can't control that. So sometimes the cost of traveling drives me nuts. But when you get away from that, the emotional toll that it will take, it's hard. I think I told you I have a hip replacement. I've had knee injuries and lots of things. But when people ask me the most dangerous part of my job, I always tell them it's getting from rodeo to rodeo.
Guaranteed. Because
that traveling is really, and I've been fortunate in that I've never really had a bad wreck.
How many have you seen?
Lots of them. I've pulled out of vehicles. I have been the first one on the scene numerous times. I had a guy, it was probably 3-4 years ago now. I don't know. Anyway, we're coming through, coming back down from Cut Bank, Browning area. And there's a guy that just went straight off, and I just watched his rig roll. And that's the one where I had to pull him out. And so it's dangerous. It is definitely dangerous. But, and then there's another thing that you miss, that I'm a pilot, and I've got 2 airplanes. I just bought a new 180, or 1957 180. So not new, but, and then I've got a little 1949 120 that I love to fly. I love to have that. I just like to fly. That's the best way to describe it. Do it as much when I travel. I'm not ever going to fly to a rodeo, because if you do, what typically happens is you land, you get there, and then the weather comes in, and you're stuck on the ground. You can't get to the next one. So And I got to carry a lot of junk with me too, the rodeo barrel and all that stuff, plus a truckload of kids. But I, I don't get to fly as much as I'd like to.
Yeah.
And so I keep telling myself, okay, well, I'm working really hard. I'm putting all these toys in place. We got boats and four-wheelers and RV trailers and all this crap, right? All these things that you go have fun with. And I don't use any of it.
Yeah, you're home 3 months a year.
Right. I'm not even, I mean, in the 3 months, I don't even think it is right. Because there's always something we're doing. Yeah. Or, you know, I have that list of rodeos, but then what people don't understand is I also do public speaking engagements. And so I'll do keynote addresses for, there's some agricultural banks that have hired me to come, you know, and travel. And so, and then I'll go like in between Tucson and Vegas. I go from Tucson, Arizona's rodeo to Las Vegas. I'll stop in Phoenix and I'll do an 811. That's their 811 convention. And so I'll do a keynote address there. And like, you don't, even when you have off time, you don't really have off time. So
I call that getting gas money, you know, because like I'm the same way. I have stores up in San Jose and I'm like, you know, if I can stop and hit a store on the way, you know, it'll be my gas money. Cause I only do a couple thousand with them. They're a small store, like in Los Banos or whatever, you know, some small, but I'm like, man, it's gas money. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, it is. But again, that the drawback is that, you know, I don't ever play with, I don't get to play with my toys. And so it's like having a really cool shiny toy that sits in a box and and you got the weird dad that won't let you take the toy out of the box because it's going to be worth it, right? You know, who cares? Let kids play with shit. But I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I feel like I miss. And in my head, in my brain, I keep telling myself, well, you know, I'm going to be able to, when I retire, when I finally step away, I'm going to have all this time to play with all this stuff. But sometimes then I get this rational thought that's like, yeah, but I'm going to be old.
Yeah, but you got Roxy anyways. What do you care now?
Yeah.
you're going to have to hustle for a while, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I'll work for a while, but it's definitely probably one of the things when I really got to think of the downside to my job, because there's not a lot of downsides. I get everywhere I go. I've said this before, but everywhere I go, it's their biggest weekend of the year.
Yeah.
So these people have been, they're volunteers. They've been prepping things. They've been setting up. They've been putting up banners. The porta potties are brand new. They get everything set. The weekend happens. Everybody's up on a high note. They're happy to see town. It's great. We do the event. All of a sudden Sunday, the porta potties are full of crap. The banners are half torn. Everybody's got to clean up. They're tired. What am I doing?
Leaving.
I'm out of it. And where do I go? To the next community where it's their biggest time of the year and they're all excited. They're all up on a high and the porta potties are clean. And so it's easy to stay.
True, man.
It's easy to stay up with my job because everywhere I go, people are so excited to have me. Now, they love having me in town for the weekend. If I moved there, they'd probably be like, all right, dude, take
enough.
Enough of you. So, but the reality is it's easy to stay up with my job. And that's what the kids love about it, you know, and it's great. I did a rodeo in Hawaii for 12 years.
So my island at Parker?
Punta Eva. So it's on the Hilo side. It's just up, go up Volcano Highway, and it's right there by the zoo. There's a zoo off to the right. It's Punta Eva Equestrian Center. And for 12 years, I worked that rodeo. My son's 13. He's been every time. So, and the only reason the 1 year off was COVID, you know, that was, so it's amazing. When we would go to Hawaii, we would get off the plane and my son would be, smells like home. You know, he was so funny. And he had all these little buddies that he hung out with and people that he knew. And what 12-year-old has been to Hawaii 12 times that doesn't live there? You know what I mean? So
none.
It's pretty rare and that my job made that opportunity possible, you know? So I look at sometimes the hardships of my job, the travel down the long roads, but they never come close to the positives. It touches the positives of my job are so much greater than anything negative that I can't ever. And I've got to meet amazing people, yourself included. I get spoiled in the opportunity to meet fantastic people. And that's a huge bonus. Sometimes people live in these little cocoons, and they don't leave their house. And I grew up in Omak, Washington, and I can tell you that county is wonderful, and I love it. I may even move back there someday, but by God, people don't get out much.
Exactly.
They don't. They are the John Duttons. John Dutton from Yellowstone doesn't leave his ranch very often. If he does, it's to go to town to defend his ranch. So it's cool that I get out, see the entire country. I'd say the world, but I've been to Canada and Mexico, and that's it. I've never gone anywhere else. So I need to get to Europe. I need to get to Australia. I've had opportunities. Rodeos wanted to bring me to Australia.
Scotland. You should check out Scotland. I had a couple of guys come into NFR that flew in from Scotland just to go to the NFR.
Yeah.
I'm like,
do they have rodeos there, or do they just?
I don't know.
Who cares? When you travel like that, I don't want to go work a rodeo. That's my job. That's like being, okay, we're going to fly you to Fiji and you're going to sell boots. Wait a minute. No.
I would do it though.
Yeah. But I love the travel for that aspect. The people that I've got to meet. And that's the other thing. When I get asked the question, what's your favorite part of your job? It's the people that I meet. It's I interact with. I've had amazing experiences. I've had, I've done wedding proposals, as the clown, they come and the guy, I set up some little cute little act and the girl says yes and what have you. And in Sisters a couple years ago before COVID hit, they came down and they had a baby in their arms, and they wanted me to meet the baby and sign the belt. And I gave them a little, one of our, Carrie got the little roper buckles and roper belts. So I gave him one of those and signed it. And oh my gosh, they just blew up on Facebook and they're so, and it really is cool. Cause in a small way, I'm a part of these people's life when yet I couldn't tell you their last name.
Right.
I really couldn't even tell you their names. I recognize their look and then they explain it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember doing that. Yeah. Well, this is our baby. And it was cool. It was really neat. They brought him to their first rodeo because they heard I was there. So that's neat.
I think that's the reward you get, kind of like from teaching, I would imagine, as you see kids grow up and kids that struggle at whatever you were teaching, and you see, hey, they come back and they say, hey, I graduated college or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not nice feeling. I
had a kid that Braulio. Oh my God. I never wanted to punt a kid more in my life. He was a little bully. He was just an ornery little turd and he was mean to other kids. And I never liked that. And I'd boot him out of class. I never sent him to the office. I would just have him sit outside and I'd get out there and I'd chew his butt and, I'd come at him but I never kind of quit. I made him play football for me. He's like, I'm not playing football. I'm like, you say you're such a big, tough guy. Let's go play football with. Anyway, long story short, I never would just leave this poor kid alone. He wanted me to leave him alone. And I just wouldn't do it. I drove him nuts every day. I'm right in his face and telling him, quit being a bully. Don't do that. I caught him in a I don't remember, some store in town. Hey, Harrison. I turned around and here's this kid. First of all, the poor kid was a big kid as an 8th grader, but he didn't grow from 8th grade on, so he's this little toadstool guy, and he was just like, I said, hey, Ralph, oh my God, you look great. How's everything been? And he said how he's got a wife and a couple kids now. And he said, thank you to me. He said, thank you for being tough on me. I needed it. And we all hear these stories, but it's never happened to me like that. This was the first one that ever really happened where a kid thanked me for just not giving up, not quitting. Yeah. And so I just felt like that was a cool moment for me.
Yeah.
And I think we get a lot of those in rodeo too. I get a lot of those.
I have people come up to me at NFR and ask me how I got my job because they want to do what I do, and I'm like, never had that happen before.
Yeah. Well, people want to be involved. They want to do these things. And I think it's great. I get a lot of that. I get a lot of social media stuff. How do I become a clown? And I'll be honest with you. You're just like, oh God, you're given the same thing over and over again. And you're like, buddy, I can tell you're not going to pursue this. You just want the job because I make it look easy. And that's, and I know that, but they don't really think about the work. However, and this is where Bailey's amazing. My wife was like, I was like, don't respond, because she runs our social media, and she'll bring stuff to me, and she'll like show me this message, and I'm like, I don't care. Don't even respond to that. It's some kid wrote a paragraph, and he's 11 years old, and he wants to know how to be a rodeo clown, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whatever you say, babe, I don't care. And I thought she's gonna smack me. She was like, hey, are you too good to respond? Is that what you're saying, that you can't help this kid? So what if he doesn't become a clown? And I was like, yeah, let's do it, babe. Sure. But really, I was like, made me think about it. And like the minute you start thinking that way, where you're just, because it's not like I get one of those. There's one of those a week, so that's 52 of them a year, where it's people that they just want, hey, how do I become a rodeo clown and get to go to Las Vegas? And you're like, dude, kind of hard, buddy. It's kind of hard. But yet you got to give them that time. And that's where Bailey's helped me a lot. She's helped me create a persona, an atmosphere with me that's more inviting than maybe I've ever been with social media. I'm an in-person guy, so social media has always been tough, but she's changed that. And in doing so, it's neat how different partners of mine, Roper included, she'll get stuff that I do that maybe nobody ever gets to see, but stuff that I do, she'll video it, she'll put some little flair to it, and then she'll post it. And it's been really good for partners to see what I do. Les Schwab, for example, I'm always helping people with tires and trying to get people into the right tires. And, in rodeo, sometimes I'll walk, when I'm walking to rodeo, I'll look and someone's got bald tires. I'm like, dude, you're going to wreck. This is a problem. These things are, and go see my friends at Les Schwab. Look, that, I've got a little promo code I can give them. So it's really cool to do that kind of stuff. But I just did. And now Bailey's there walking behind me with a little camera. It's helped expand on a personal level. It's helped expand our partnerships, because
I was going to ask you about that. How much of you're on the road a lot.
Mm-hmm.
How much of your time and energy goes into getting a new partner, or when it comes time to renew the contract to butter up the people? How much of that? How much of your time is involved with that?
A lot of what I do is I just hit a home run along the way. I just want to be solid along the way. And then when I get opportunities, I capitalize on them. For example, with Roper at the NFR, they had me signing autographs. That's just not me. I don't want to sit there and sign autographs. I want to bounce.
You'd rather sell boots. I know.
Sell boots and talk to people and visit. And then, it's funny because a couple of times they're him-hawing about it. And I was like, well, I just like them. My wife got this pair and she loves the heck out of it. I don't even work here. And people
that's why I always tell people, I go, he doesn't work for us.
You don't work here? Like, no, but I want you to like him. You got to like him. Let's work them. You don't like these? We'll try the, it's just fun to interact with people and do that stuff. But the NFR is definitely one of the places. It's the hub, right? It's where everybody's at. So this year I picked up Beck's sunglasses.
Nice.
So that's a new one, and we're going to work on that. You build. You start small, and you prove your value, and then I never. It's not an ask for money thing. It's got to feel like a partnership. They need to see what I'm able to do, what I can bring to the table for Roper, for 811, for Beck's, whatever it may be, Montana Silversmith. Sure. It's what can I bring to the table, and then do it. And do a good job with it. Montana Silversmith, I'm looking at boxes of their jewelry right here. Yeah. All these little things. These are already, we have Montana do, they'll give me jewelry, and then we will donate out of my amount. Yeah. We'll donate like 50% of it goes back to Rodeos for like Chicks and Chaps, Pink Nights. I'll run around the arena, and I don't know what these are. That one's empty. But I'll have so a little thing of earrings, and I'll carry this around during the rodeo, and we're going to auction it off. And the proceeds are going to go to the Chicks and Chaps Cancer Research Fund, Susan G. Coleman, whatever it may be, whatever the rodeo wants to do. And I'm telling you, I've sold earrings for $2,800. It's crazy because number one, people get caught up in the moment. Yeah. It's exciting. They want to bid, but they're going to make a donation to these organizations anyway. But now they're getting a pair of earrings, and so Montana really liked that because it was a way to not only put some goodwill behind them, but rather also showcase their product on the big screen. Because I hold them right up to the camera and make sure that it gets on the big screen, and then they snap a picture, put Montana's logo. So it's a commercial without it being a commercial. It's very organic, right? And that's the best thing I can bring to a company. I think is that it's like selling boots there at the booth. I don't even work here. I'm telling you the quality product. Exactly. This is, I have this pair. I like this pair. Here's why I like them. And, and then there's stuff that, I can say that as a consumer to consumer almost,
Have you always been good at dealing with sponsors, or is that something you've learned over the years?
I think I've learned a lot of it. I used to have an agent, and she worked with me for up until last year, actually. And, it was kind of a mutual thing. But it was, she kind of taught me how to work, especially with 811, which is a huge nationwide, company, and they're massive. And so how to create wrap-up packs and deck sheets and all those things that you kind of need. A lot of times when people put their money somewhere, they want to see the numbers at the end of it. How did your year include? And so she taught me how to create that type of stuff. And, really what's going to happen now is Bailey's is phenomenal at that stuff. A photographer, she's a marketing brain. And so she's going to be able to tally up the number of in-person views we'd have, which is rodeo fans, rodeo patrons, versus like the Cowboy channel has been really big for us. Cowboy channel, we can put the 13 million viewers or whatever their number. So there's a lot of it. And I was really bummed this year. I was very close to getting the national finals rodeo again. I was the alternate. And it was a really close race, but one of my goals, and this next year I'm going to work really hard too, is I want to put Roper in the Thomas and Mack. I want Roper's logo on me in the Thomas and Mack during the rodeo.
Good luck with that one.
Oh, it'll happen. If I get it, I can.
Wrangler's not a big fan of that. Just so you know.
They're not. But Wrangler also, there's room for lots of fish in the sea, and Roper now I can have my logo in rodeo arena, so it's fine.
Maybe that's why you became an alternate. I don't know. I'm just telling you. I remember because the VP of Cinch, who's now our VP. We used to talk when I first started. Tin Hall was just getting founded. Right. And we went to the high school finals in Gillette, Wyoming.
Sure.
And we had Tin Hall stickers and shit, banners and wrist guards everywhere. Yeah. We had kids putting them on their hats everywhere. And then since Cinch was the main sponsor, they weren't allowed to wear other. So Jeremy's like, I wasn't going to let you put my boss now. Yeah. Like, I wasn't going to let you guys put that stuff all over all over our sponsorships.
But the nice thing now is Roper's logo, I think it's this one, is approved by RCA. So they can't stop. Now it's just getting the guy down there that has it on him. And that's my goal. And I'm hoping next year's my year. I've worked
how do you get that prize?
So it's voted on by bullfighters, announcers right now, and the top 20 bull riders. That's it. So it's a unique, so it has nothing to do with entertainment. No fans. It has nothing. It's all about that barrel. It's all about getting your head beat in that barrel. It really is. And so packing the barrel. And this last year I worked my tail off, getting better at that, working it. And part of it was with the new hip. I had less pain. I had a bad hip, real bad. So I was in a lot of pain. And now and then the other side of it is I've kind of learned how to work it better and avoid bigger, so I think that's good. I'm gonna one more year. I'm gonna pack that thing all over heck, because I really feel like I was close enough that I think this next year it can happen if I just keep my head down, do my job right. On that, there's a part of me during the bull riding that wants to be out of the barrel, run around and entertain the crowd. You know, because a lot of stock contractors, to be honest with you, don't even want the barrel in there.
Right.
They don't want it in there. You know, so it's one of those things where it's how you get the votes to work the rodeo, but yet there's so many people in rodeo that don't even want it there. They don't want you in the way, and they see it in the way or stuff. But I think if and I remember being a bull rider, I want that barrel there. And I want somebody in that barrel that is going to pack that thing in, because if I get thrown down, running me over, you know, I've got bullfighters, but I want the barrelman to take the hit, not me. Yeah. And so it's really been the best mindset. I had a kid, I think he was Roscoe Jarbo, great bull rider, NFR bull rider. And he just very casually said, thanks for being there. One time after I packed it in and he ran to me, and then he just kind of hit me on the back as he's walking back the chutes and said, thanks for being there. And I don't know if that's the first time I'd ever heard that, but it was the first time it really sank in. And I was like, I was there. I was there.
That was me.
It was me. God, I did you. And so those are kinds of things that I think are, it's a different mindset, you know. And there's rodeo clowns that I've talked to that used to be, you know, you got to pack it in there and get hit all the time. And then they were like, then I watched JJ Harrison, and, you know, that guy's way smarter than the rest of us because he's working it, you know, he's back entertaining the crowd. And, you know, I was talking actually with a clown. He had me on his little podcast thing, and he was talking about, you know, I didn't even like you when we started. He's telling me all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, well, sorry, you know. And, but he goes, and now I realize, dude, you're just way smarter than the rest of us, and that you're getting paid, you're doing the job, and you're not getting your head beat in. And now I'm watching you on the Cowboy channel. We flip spots. Now I'm way back there. You know, I'm not doing, and you're in there getting your head beat in. It's like, what's going on? And I told him, I said, honestly, it's because, number one, it might be the right thing to do for the bull rider. But number two, if I'm ever going to get the NFR again, it's be on the backs of those votes. And I need to prove my value, prove my worth to those folks that do get to vote. And I do want the rodeo back. I want it at least one more time, but I will be honest. I enjoyed hosting a party. Yeah. A ton. Like, I really enjoyed the party I had at the MGM and all that. Those were definitely things that I loved.
I was going to ask you, you know, it's so interesting to hear you say that you're, you know, what is packing a barrel?
Okay. So that's where you pick it up and you move it in. Basically, there's little handles inside the barrel, and the barrel weighs about 120 pounds. So it's pretty heavy. And what'll happen is there's a little hole in the bottom of it where your feet go. And so as the bull bucks, what you do is you'll stay back until about that 6-second mark. And then at about 6 seconds, you're going to pick the barrel up, and then you're going to kind of start walking it in to get a little bit closer. The idea is that the bull bucks in a circle, and he gets dizzy, and the bull rider comes off, and the bull's kind of dizzy, but he wants to hit something. He sees me. Something but right. Yeah. He hits me. He doesn't hit the bullfighters. He doesn't hit anything. He runs over me in the barrel. And that's the idea of it. And people ask, you know, well, does it hurt? What do you think? It's a bull hitting you in a tin can. Of course it hurts. But it's not going to hurt as bad as if I didn't have that barrel on, or if it hit my bull rider or something like that. So that's what packing the barrel is. You're picking it up. You're bringing it in there. And sometimes, too, Nate Justice told me this. He said one of the things that you're doing really well is that I'll pack the barrel in, but if I'm too close, I don't want to be in the way either. Yeah. I want the bullfighters to make a round and run into me. So I pack it back. You know, you come in, if you're too close, you pack it back if the accident's coming. So you're just reading the situation, and you're trying to be there when needed and out of the way when not. And it's a balancing act, man. And I've really worked on getting better. The best guy in the business, a guy named Andy North. And this guy he did a lot of the BFOs, the bullfighter only things, and he's the barrel man for him. I just thought this guy is the best barrel man that has ever lived. And there's some good ones. A lot of guys that go in there and get hit a lot, but this cat just had a finesse. And so that's what I really try to model myself after his mindset. And he's a good dude, you know? And so I visited with him about it, and he's been very helpful.
How often do you get hit?
About twice. Well, it depends. Some rodeos I won't get hit. Some
I was
rodeos
gonna say,
run
I go to
by.
the Norco Rodeo, the Michville Rodeo, Salinas, NFR. I don't remember the barrel guys getting hit that much. If I
Yeah.
can't remember at all. I mean, I think once or twice, but
If they leave it back, if you leave it back and you don't move it around very much, you won't get hit. And so,
yeah.
and so when I'm getting hit, it hopefully means I'm doing something good.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, and I've learned this too. When you're up close, when you're closer to the bull and you're moving it in, when he hits you, he's going to hit it and he's going to knock it over. If you're way back
and he's got to run and start.
Yeah, if he's going to break loose and run you over. In Denver one year, I worked the bullfight, and I said, you know, where do you want the barrel? And they're like, we don't really care. You just need to be out there. I was like, all right. So I was way back. This little Mexican bull came out and saw me, and at a dead run. I mean, he was running wide open when he hit that barrel, and I fractured my arm. Like it hit hard. He hit hard. So now I've learned, you know, when I'm up close, it's not as bad. It's not as painful. I get blasted, but it's not a clear run across. And I've got bullfighters there helping me, keeping the barrel aimed, keeping the holes, the ends away from the bull's head, you know, turning it with me. And Ellensburg, I've got Nate Justice, Cody Webster, and Dusty Tuckness, and, you know, and you throw Nate Harp in there, and there's some other guys that are phenomenal. I'm not getting into a list of phenomenal bullfighters, but Evan Allard's another great, but they know how to protect you.
Yeah.
And they know how to keep you as safe as possible while the bull's trying to kill you, and they can manipulate that barrel. And so it makes it a lot more fun for me. And then this year we jumped a bull, you know, Dusty got up on top of the barrel and jumped a bull
over.
Yeah. So it was cool.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I had somebody explain this to me right when I first started. I worked Quarter Horse Congress in Columbus, Ohio, and I asked the guy, because I was asking him about how all the rodeo events got started.
Yeah,
and he said, because he goes, I said, like, the bulls were coming up next, and he goes, I always leave when the bulls come out. And I'm like, why? He goes, I appreciate everything else because all the other events happened on the ranch.
Yeah.
And that's how he said the only one that didn't ever happen on a ranch for work was bull riding. Like,
yeah.
There was, you know, saddle bronc, team roping, tie down.
Well,
you know, barrel. What?
Bareback didn't start on a ranch. Nobody would get on a bucking horse with a suitcase handle when they could put a saddle. So, but you know what? To a guy like that, I would say that's great, man, because that when you leave, somebody fills your spot, because that's definitely the frost.
Yeah.
You
that's why I was asking him. I said, why do you leave it? Because like that's when everyone likes to show up.
Yeah. Well, and he's probably the old cowboy mentality, you know, and it's that way of being different, unique, and so, you know, I'm more cowboy than you. That comes out a lot. We get a lot of that. People competing over who's more cowboy. And rodeo people, I think the ones that do it for a living, we don't care. Yeah. But you go to an amateur rodeo or something, and it's, you know, there's guys that will roll out bed rolls and sleep on the ground, and you're just like, what are you doing, dude? You know, like, but it's a way of life, and more power to them for wanting to keep it going.
Yeah.
He don't want to walk outside, and that's okay.
Yeah, you don't want to sleep in a bed? All right.
Yeah, all right, buddy.
I'll be in a bed.
I killed some kids one time. I took off. I started to drive, and I heard all this screaming, and a bunch of kids had slept under my trailer. They were sleeping outside, and it started raining that night.
Oh.
They just put all their stuff under. Well, I had to leave early, so it was 6:30 in the morning. And I start the truck, and that apparently wasn't enough to wake them up. Almost started moving, and I heard people yelling, and I stopped. There was 3 cowboys sleeping right under the trailer.
What are you doing?
I'd like to run them over. Christmas, but anyway.
You got here in a truck. Why not sleep in the truck?
Sleep in the truck, exactly. But I got a good thing going. I really do. I like life I get. I love the people I get to interact with, people I get to meet, and I don't know what else I would do. You know, I talk about retirement every now and then, or I have people ask me how long I'll go, and I just booked Sheridan and a bunch of rodeos for 3 years. Lots of them want to do long-term deals with me, which is nice. So 3 more years, and maybe that's where I stop. I'll be 50, or right almost, and so maybe that's where I shift gears and become a rodeo announcer or something, or I do something different. I don't know.
I can see you doing that.
I've announced some events. You know, I have done some of that, and people try to get me to go into it, but I'm so established as rodeo clown that it is over. It really is starting over, and to a certain extent, I'll have good connections, but I like my job. I like the job I got, so I'm going to do it as long as I possibly can.
Well, if you start announcing, you won't have to travel with the barrel anymore. So that'd be nicer.
I can fly. Then maybe I can get a nice.
See?
I can get my IFR credentials done, and I can fly. I've thought about that, but I need a King Air to carry all these damn kids around with me still. So
you gotta get rid of them. Got to put them off into college or something.
Yeah, exactly. I keep waiting for them to start playing like sports and get really good, so they get scholarships. But I got a bunch of string beans that can't hardly walk and chew gum. So I'm pretty sure I can rule out athletic scholarships.
Yeah.
My son though, Huck, he's pretty good with chess. So maybe I'll get him a chess.
Get him playing that in the car instead of watching movies.
Yeah.
There you go. So, hey, I appreciate the time. What's the best way for my listeners to follow up with you? I mean, I know you got Facebook.
Yeah, I got a Facebook like page, and then, but like my wife said, she said Instagram rules the world. So, because people want, and we make it TikTok things, but JJ Harrison 811 is my handle, right? That's the JJ Harrison 811. You can probably put in JJ Harrison and find me. But yeah, I love when people do. I really do. I like that. You know, our numbers are not massive, but the people that do follow me, I think they get quality stuff, because my wife makes sure that it's a good mix of rodeo and yet our normal life, what we're doing and things that we're doing. And we're really good at interacting. Like I told you, when I tried to tell the kid, I'll, whatever, blah, blah. My wife liable to backhand me, so you will get responses. When you send us messages, you'll get a response. It's us. It's me, or it's my wife, but she talks to me, shows me all these things. So it really, so much of my success, and I think you would agree, so much of my success falls on her shoulders. She is amazing. She really is. And I think that and she's not even here. She's gone. So I'm not,
but she might watch it. So
yeah, I don't know what that thing is up there, but really she's changed me for the better in so many ways, in the way that I do my job. And she's just made life more fun. She's made me enjoy little things that I kind of got tired of, that I thought I was tired of. And when we show up in a different town, she's a go-getter. She has a best friend today. So she's meeting people, and I do more things now. Like, she's just a little butterfly. So she bounces around and she meets somebody, and pretty soon we're going to look at some neat thing in town because she's a photographer and wants to take pictures of it. And she met this girl that will show us, and and they're happy to show off their town a little bit. So it works out pretty neat. I mean, it is cool. It's a cool atmosphere for sure.
You got a nice little team going there. That's for sure.
Yeah. She's a cool girl. I lucked out. Right. And she's got her hands full with Roxy. I'm a very involved dad. I really am. But man, that girl, like, she hates my wife. I don't know why. Hates her. Like, won't, probably because Bailey puts her to bed.
Yep.
That's kind of her thing. But like, it is always just clinging to me and dad. And my wife is like just trying to hug her, and she's no.
It's funny is my dog's like that. My wife picked out our dog.
Yeah.
Wanted a bulldog. We got a French bulldog, and I'm the one that is the disciplinarian.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But he loves it. Yeah. I'm the alpha dog, so he comes to me. He only gives me hugs. You know, like we'll be on the couch, he comes right up and gives me a big hug, and I'm like, your dog says hi. Yeah.
Yeah. I tell my wife, this is going to change. You know, I mean,
Oh
she's
yeah.
kind of mad about it. Like at times she's a little bit like frustrated by it, but I'm like, look, this is a phase, you know, and you want daughters to have a strong male role model in there. Because I want her to know I'm going to take my daughter on dates, man. I just am. I do it with Ava too, my older daughter that I got late in life, because I want them to know how a guy is supposed to treat them, you know, what a dinner is and dinner date is. And just, you know, they need to see positive men in you that treat them right. And that's what I want my daughters to know is the proper way to be treated by a man, how you open the door. They should open the door for you. And there's a lot of little things, little Western traditional things. But, you know, if the guy doesn't take his hat off at dinner, you got a problem. You know, I did. It was funny. Me and a guy named, I'm blanking on his name, Robbie Hodges. Robbie Hodges is another barrel man. And for a while, he didn't really care for me. And it was funny because you know, this year, especially at the NFR, he kind of came around on me for some reason. It was kind of fun. And we went to the League of Women's Luncheon or something. And it's full of cowgirls and a lot of cowboys. And they have this really nice dinner, you know, and they gave us tickets for it and whatever. Well, me and Robbie Hodges were the only two that took our hat off. Like this huge auditorium at South Point full of cowboy hats, and they just kept eating with their hat on. And I took mine off, and I looked over, and so did he. And he came over and he goes, "How come you take your hat off?" Yeah. I said, "Because I'm afraid my mom might be in here." And he goes, "That's exactly right. Me too. My mom used to whip me if you didn't take the hat off." So, I mean, it's funny how manners can bond people that you know, and competitors. But you know, it's funny just how life works that way. But I don't know. Long short of it is I got a great life going, and I'm very lucky. And I don't take that for granted. I really don't.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, like I said, I appreciate the time. I'll make sure to put all the links on my website for them to be able to follow you.
Yeah, thanks.
And San Bernardino or City of Industry, I'll have to head over there.
Do it, man.
It's not till October, I think, but
it is. Those are late. I do a big California run before that. It's going to be a little bit further for you, but I do Red Buff, Clovis, Stonyford, Sonora. Stonyford, you should go to though.
My ex-wife, sister, which is Carrie's sister-in-law too, Vastine.
Okay.
They own a house up by the lake up there in Stonyford.
The bar. And the bar. They own
the bar. Yeah. They bought the. Yeah, it's a long story on the bar, but yeah, my nephew's running that bar. So
why are you not going? You got no excuse not to go.
I got no
ex-family, whatever.
No, I still stay at Carrie's house. I mean, it's not a big. It's kind of weird, like the Filipinos, because our wives were Filipino.
Yeah.
Even like I met some relatives that were like, hold on, I thought you said that's his wife. He goes, well, that's his old wife, but I still call her auntie because you know.
Yeah.
And like when we first met, she's like, all my grandparents they've all passed away. And I'm like, okay. So we go to a family party. Oh, this is my grandma. I'm like, whoa. She goes, well, it's not my grandma. It's my cousin's uncle's grandma, but we still call her grandma.
Right. Exactly.
That's how it is.
No, that's cool. Yeah. They were closed this last year in Stony. They'll get opened back up. But yeah, I know we should have a little Roper party there.
We should. We could try.
We put something together.
We could sponsor the bar. That'd be awesome.
Sponsor the whole rodeo for $8. I mean, this is not a huge. It'd be fun. They have all this wild camping. You know, people camp, have big parties. We could have the Roper. In fact, I'm bringing it back. This last year we did it too. A costume party. You know, people get up there and they're drinking. I mean, I've got my trailer's full of crap. You know, so I get the costume box out and people are all
putting costume stuff on. Yeah, hand out some goat ropes, some of those little Roper ropes that we had for a while. I don't know if we have any more of those.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No,
we'll have to talk. When is the Stonyford one?
So that's be the first weekend in May, I think. Okay. Because it is first weekend in May, because then I go to Sonora after that, and then I go to Central Point, or maybe I go Central Point then Sonora. But either way, I think it's the first weekend in May.
I'll look it up.
Schedule. You got my schedule, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on there.
Yeah.
But I do a bunch in California. I love California rodeos. I love California people. It makes me not mad. I'm not mad about it. But when people bitch about California, it just makes me think that's good. Then don't move there because
we don't need you
already. And that state has everything. It has got everything. It is by far one of the most beautiful states. Some of the greatest people. I love California. I love it. And I make jokes, in the rodeo. I mean, people from California, and like in Idaho at Sandpoint.
Yeah.
There'll be some people and they'll wave. Hey, thank you for being here on behalf of Sandpoint Tourism. Thank you for coming. Please don't move here.
Yeah. Please go home.
It will make people laugh, but the reality is, it's just it's a great state. I love it. My wife loves it. We go down and we do. In fact, we do San Bernardino. Then we have a weekend off where we don't do anything, and then we do City of Industry.
Oh, okay.
So your area to hang out. We'll come and we'll be down there we have a whole the rodeo ends, and we got a whole basically 10 days off before we have to do the industry.
Well, I can give you and your kids the nickel tour, the little Hollywood tour.
Yeah,
to all my relatives.
No kids, just Roxy. So it's pretty easy. It's just the three of us on that one because they got school and so they're doing that stuff. But yeah, no, yeah. I'll for sure.
Yeah, because I'm Redondo Beach, so I mean,
okay.
If you want to come hang at the beach and let Roxy play in the sand, we can do that.
Oh, Roxy would love that. She's a terrorist, though.
I know.
She just spends every minute of her life. She's just trying to find a way to die. I feel like that's what she does. And all we do is just keep her every day that she doesn't die is a win as parents for us because electrical sockets doesn't matter. She's got this, she's got that. She gets into everything. She's so busy.
I have two daughters, 26 and 28. But the younger one, so I come home from work one day and there's a kid, Alan, he's our neighbor. He was sitting on the ledge of my garage door, like I have a deck above the garage, and he's sitting on it like he's going to jump off. And I'm like, what are you doing? I go, get on the other side of the fence and get on the deck. Okay. So I go up there. I go, what's going on? I go, were you just trying to show off to the girls or what? And he goes, well, no, Allie, your daughter already jumped off, so I was going to do it next.
That's I think that's what we're raising too. We're gonna have a wild one. And I don't know, man. Of all the kids, we have 4 really calm kids.
And then Roxy.
And she's just a lot. She's a busybody, and
she's great in the booth when she's in the stroller.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then you let her out and she's hiding in the clothes, and that became her new favorite game.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
be careful in the malls.
Exactly.
All right, but we'll definitely stay in touch before May.
Okay.
And just be safe out there. Be safe driving.
Thanks, man. Thanks for including.
I appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
See you later.
All right, buddy.